Coffee. And this is our table contents. And today our aim is to analyze the various approach to strategic planning and activities of Costa Coffee in Switzerland. And our objective is to analyze their external environment in Switzerland by conducting a pestle analysis. Secondly, to evaluate the business activeness for investment by using Porto's 5-course analysis. Thirdly, to estimate internal environment of Costa Coffee by applying a SWOT analysis. And lastly, to provide a professional interpretation of their outcomes and suggest recommendations and for further improvement. And the mother company is Coca-Cola, and Costa Coffee is actually owned by Coca-Cola company. And Coca-Cola is started in 1899 by Joseph Whitehead and Benjamin Thomasis as a soda fountain drinks in the United States. And after that, they created drinks for the soda drinks, and after that, it's really popular. And today, Coca-Cola sells more than 1.9 million drinks over in 200 countries. And for the introduction and history, the company founded in 1971 in England by two brothers, who is Bruno and Sergio, and both are originally from Italy. And while being in London, they tested around 112 variations of coffee, and that became their signature blended called Mocha Italia. And after that, before they opened the company of the coffee shops, in London, now Costa Coffee is present in 52 countries, over in 4,000 stores. And this is show the mother company is Coca-Cola, and it also includes Costa Coffee. And you will see here branches of Costa Coffee around the world. And the vision, this Costa Coffee high quality, good taste coffee accessed around the world to inspire that the coffee will more love it and with commitment. To explain here, the mission, they source coffee ethically and supports farming communities and reduce environmental impact through sustainable practice and deliver friendly, reliable service built in a strong company values. And next slide.
Now I'm going to tell you about the pestle analysis, because of this we're going to understand the external environment and how it affects Costa's strategy. We're going to start with political one. The first factor is high ethical expectations. So the Swiss government is expecting from the companies to corporate responsibility, especially when it comes to sustainability. So the Costa Coffee is using the Rainforest Alliance certified coffee beans, and they're following following the international sustainability standards to align with Swiss political and regulatory expectations. The second factor is strict Swiss import agreements, especially like the coffee. So Costa Coffee is using Coca-Cola supply system to import the coffee, and they're concentrating on the locally distributed packages such as capsules, beans, which is simplifying logistics. Next one is economic factor, is employment levels affecting labor availability. So in Switzerland the unemployment is low, so it makes harder and more expensive to hire workers. So Costa Coffee, they're investing into barista trainings. They're training them to perform multiple roles. The next one is highest possible household income. That means that the Swiss people there have higher income and they can afford to themselves coffee outside of the home. So Costa Coffee, instead of focusing on the low prices, they're focusing on the high quality, convenience and experience for the customers. Next one is social. It's about sustainability and ethical consumption in Switzerland. So Swiss people, they require a lot of sustainability, so Costa Coffee, again, using the coffee beans from Rainforest Alliance, and they're engaging with suppliers to enforce environmental and social standards. Next one is multicultural and international population. Switzerland has a lot of international people living here. So thanks to this, Costa is having the international menu, English-friendly branding, and they're adapting to international consumption standards. And they're also locating their stores into city centers or transport hubs, which is frequent by tourists as well. Technological factor is digitalization and customer experience. So now in the F&B industry, it's important the fast service, and the customers require cashless payments, mobile applications, which Costa uses as well. And thanks to these technologies, they're improving service speed, convenience, and they're making personalization for the customers. The second factor is operations and efficiency. That's exactly for the Costa Coffee. They're having the automated coffee machines, digital inventory systems, and data processes. So it makes more the work efficient. The environmental factor, it's again about sustainability, but this one is more about the nature and the planet. So Costa Coffee responds to sustainability expectations by sourcing ethically coffee, reducing waste, using recyclable cups, and these practices align with the brand and environmentally conscious consumer values. The second factor is waste, resources, and climate impact. Environmental concerns such as waste management, resource use, and climate impact are increasingly important for the food and beverage companies operating in Switzerland. So Costa Coffee reducing waste through reusable cups again, sourcing coffee responsibly, and improving energy efficiency in each stores. Next one is legal factor, regulations on food safety and hygiene. This is also an important law in Switzerland. So Costa Coffee is making sure that the allergens are clearly outlined in their shops, and each week they're having the hygiene checks conducted by their higher management, and all of the employees are following the hygiene standards. And the last factor is minimum wage laws. We're having in Switzerland as well. There is minimum wage regulations, minimum worker hours, and employee rights. So they're often holding meetings with managers to make sure they follow the laws and their local coffee shops.
Very good. So let's have a look at our scenarios. it is very important to have a look at this, because usually you would think that high sustainability adaptation and high labor regulations would be a bad thing. But since we are in a Swiss market, these are very important for our public view of our company, as Costa Coffee is a relatively new competitor in the Swiss market, only entering it in the year 2020, which means that they had to get many people to actually like them, since Swiss people more often prefer to go to the local cafes. They don't really like chain companies to enter the market, because in their opinion it destroys the cultural, say, availability of Switzerland and their multicultural belief of regional tastes. So we have the scenario 2 that would be the best for us. So strong labor protections increase staffing costs, but Costa invests in employee training and employee retention, which is very important in Switzerland. At the same time, Costa accelerates sustainability initiatives, which is a very much a long-term investment into the future, as they're relatively new in the market, and by getting more customer retention and employee retention, they can also focus on their sustainability initiatives. And even though the costs are being high, they will very much benefit from having customers that will keep coming back to them, and they can focus on having less stores, but with much higher quality and higher prices, but still make a very good amount of money. So the key drivers from our best analysis, we have the economic driver. So as we said, Costa Coffee has a very strong backing from Coca-Cola. As we all know, Coca-Cola has one of the most efficient supply chain management systems in the world, using specific airports, using specific planes that they own themselves, and it is a very big advantage for Costa Coffee to be able to use them efficiently, inside and outside of the country of Switzerland. Then we have the social ones. We have Costa Coffee is facing a challenge in persuading the current youth of Switzerland, because fast coffee in Switzerland is not something they're used to. It is a relatively new market for both fast coffee and fast food in this country, and they have to be persuaded to spend their money on this. Even though they have this amount of money to spend, they still prefer their local coffee and the taste of them.
Then now we're going to talk about Porter's 5 Forces model, sort of a new entrance. It's actually about our concurrence, and it's low, so it's good for us. And I would like to say about these two facts first. It's a high Swiss network, the operating costs, and of course the highly demanded location scare and expensive, because especially in Switzerland it's really expensive to rent a building, especially if you want a really good location, and location need to be usually near the train station, and it will be popular for the tourists, or for example near the universities or schools or educational courses. That's it will be good for the students, and yeah, or near the offices also. So it's also really expensive, so it's really rare that some local cafes that you can see cannot just afford the concurrence with us. And and Costa benefits from scale and Coca-Cola baking. We're really lucky that our ownership is a Coca-Cola, really big brand that can invest in us really big amount of money, so we can invest this in new coffee shops and also in new products. So what about the power of suppliers? It's also low, and it's also good for us because the coffee beans are available globally. So it's actually in really big amount in countries. So it's really easy to find. And also about the ethical sourcing, it's also really good, how my colleague said before. It's with recycling products, we use recycling products, we use also we're environmental friendly, so we use seeds from farms, something like this, and yeah, it's the most important. Then what about this rate of subtotals? It's high, so it's bad for us, unfortunately, because now more and more start to be popular. The brands, for example, as an espresso. An espresso, everybody know, it's coffee machines. So for people, it starts to be really more usual and more normal that in their house they have their own coffee machines. In the morning they can just go with their breakfast, make a coffee, then go and just pay money every time for the new cup of coffee in there. And also, what about independent cafes offering authentic experiences? For example, I will talk about local cafes because there is like a special atmosphere about that some people really miss. For example, like Grandma's Kitchen, they want like this vibe where you can just relax. It's just, yeah, and not like a big cafe like a Costa Coffee, just a really small, cute cafe. And bakeries, supermarkets, convenience stores, it's all about that you know that there is like a bad quality coffee, but it's normally for people, they're still drinking it. It's just like this cold coffee that you can buy for like it's for 3 francs. And for them it's okay. And also now, I would say it's more about new generation. Some of them prefer energy drinks, or even sometimes people don't even like coffee or something like that give you a lot of energy, so they prefer tea and other beverages. And what about the power of buyers? It's also, how you can see, high. It's about many alternatives as local cafes, as I said before, bakeries, also as I said before, about aesthetic, about the vibe that you can have only there, special one, so it's experience, also about experience. And easy switching between brands, so if your customer don't like Costa Coffee, easily can go for and brand loyalty exists, but it's not strong enough to keep customers. And of course, already existing competitors. I think you all know that our biggest competitor is Starbucks. Everybody know it because Starbucks also it's a really big company that also located usually in airports, in train stations, in near the universities. Even at our university we have Starbucks, so it's a really big competitor for us. And you can see also it's high and limited product differentiation. It's about that it's a little bit different with the Swiss taste because Swiss people, it's Costa Coffee, it's more about the international taste, and Swiss taste is not really this taste, but so it's more doing for the tourists and something like this. And yeah, and price and service competition because sometimes people can not see the reason to pay that much price for the coffee, and they again go to local cafes. And yeah, and highly competitive urban coffee market is also obvious. It's a lot of the coffee is the most popular product. Of course, we have a lot of competitors already existing in the world. And what about the conclusion? Is Costa Coffee interesting for the investors? Of course, yes. Because how you can see, how you can saw, it's more pluses for us, for our company. For example, even about the locations, because we have our ownership, the Coca-Cola who provides us a lot of money, like I said, and that's why we can invest not only in just high quality products, we just can invest also in the friendly environment products. That's actually also so popular and good for now, and we're taking care about nature and everything like this. And also about location, I said, about the new train stations and offices that you can just normally grab coffee to just wake you up. And yes, and also the rate of subtitles is high, practically from home coffee systems, bakeries, and convenience retailers. Yes. So now I'm going to talk about SWOT analysis. The first one is strengths. As you can see, it's actually good that we have that much, the points, and I'm going to now tell you about this. The first one, I think, is the most important one. Is Coca-Cola ownership provides financial stability, like I said before, because I mean, Costa Coffee can be proud that we are from a really big company. And then ethical sources, like I said before, also that it's about we're friendly and environmental company, and we are taking our products from farms, and it's good for nature. And then confidence and structured barista training system. It's really good when you come to Costa Coffee. You come not like, for example, in local cafes for atmosphere. You come more for experience, for service experience, and that's what is good in Costa Coffee. So we have a really good customer experience programs for our workers. And then quality and standard experience in stores. Also, like I said also before, our coffee is really high quality. So, what about the weaknesses? Unfortunately, we also have it. It's high prices compared to local coffees because, of course, if you go for the bigger brand as a Costa Coffee, it will be higher prices, and that's why sometimes also I want to include this point that it's unclear brand positioning is a premium or budget because people don't really understand, is it like a luxury, like cafe and everything, like more like a restaurant, or is it more like a local cafe? It's just like something in the middle. So sometimes people cannot understand for what they need to pay that much money for just coffee. Yeah, they will prefer to go to local cafes sometimes. It depends on the people what they want exactly from now, experience or coffee or. And the limited menu, like I said, it's about the different tastes of people, about Swiss taste and about international. Costa Coffee is more for international, so it's from one side good because it's for tourists, but because I'm talking now about weakness, it's for just, if it's in Switzerland for Swiss, it's not just really big taste of coffee. And the high operating costs, rent, labor and energy, of course, it's really expensive to rent building in Switzerland. I'm not saying even about train stations or some building, like big buildings. It's also about just somewhere. It's really, really expensive. And limited adaptation to local tastes, as I said before. And what about the opportunities? As you can see, it's also good that we have that much. It's a large immigration of younger people. So I think now it's even the trend that a lot of students come to the lessons with a cup of coffee. They're waking up, and that's why in Switzerland a lot of people now coming for study. Actually, it's starting to be now from 2023, I would say 2022. People start coming to Switzerland, especially for the studying in hospitality business schools and everything like this, and they always need some cup of coffee to wake up. And small number of competitors in the fast coffee industry. As I said before, one of the biggest concurrents for us is Starbucks, and so it's the only one that we own. And Costa Coffee products are sold through Coop and other made in Switzerland, making them easier to access outside of the coffee shops. And like I said before, it's the same taste. So even if, for example, near your house or near your office, you don't have Costa Coffee coffee, it's really good that they start to produce in the Coop, in Migroses, in really stores that are everywhere. Of course, if you don't have Costa Coffee, you will always have Coop near your house or Migros or out, and you could just buy it. And what about in the Coca-Cola want to invest more into the high GDP per capita countries? Yeah. And the last one is the threats. Unfortunately, of course, we also have this as every business, and it's a strong competition from local cafes and other coffee brands in Switzerland. Yes, I'm saying it before and I'm saying it now. Still, it depends what people really want from now. Or they want more an experience, they want more to try some different tastes of the coffee, or they want just a local good atmosphere with the cup of Swiss coffee, I would say. And the Swiss customers prefer independent, local, high-quality coffee shops, and the high costs for rent, wages, operations, and management.
So, let's have a look at the key results. We start with the SWOT analysis, and from that we can see that the Costa Coffee has a very strong brand backing by Coca-Cola. Since Switzerland is a very hard country to invest your money in, Coca-Cola is providing incentives for investors that would like to put their money into the franchise, since we know Costa Coffee is a franchise business. Because of the very high cost in this country, Costa Coffee and Coca-Cola is offering them also additional financing, which makes it a very good incentive for people to invest into this coffee here. So then we have the Porter's five forces. The key results from that are the bargaining power of buyers is increasing. As we know in Switzerland, people very much like their authenticity, and they very much value their identity, and which is why they much rather prefer local shops. And they have very specific tastes, and Costa Coffee has a very big challenge ahead of them to adapt to these tastes as well as differentiate themselves from the local cafes that are in the market currently. Then we have the pest analysis, which shows clearly that Costa has a very strong positioning in the market of Switzerland. However, it is also important to distinguish, as I mentioned before, the market of people who would like to drink coffee at home and who would like to visit chain cafes, and also how can we incentivize them to visit the chain cafe instead of the local cafes. So the meanings of our findings: we have competing on price alone is not viable because of the Swiss high labor costs, which drive up the prices of drinks, which drive up the prices of having more employees, and which drive up the prices of daily operations of all of the cafes. We have the sustainability practices. So the big part of sustainability is, of course, Switzerland. They very much care about recyclable cups, reusable cups, about recycling your trash. Therefore, Costa can make it a very big advantage for them by investing long term into the sustainability practices. So to get the strong competitors means brand trust and quality service are critical, which is another point of investing into a smaller amount of Costa coffee shops inside of the country, but making sure that they get very high quality service and that people want to come back to them, improving the customer retention of Costa Coffee. And of course, the long-term success depends on all of the points that I made above. So, how do the results fit together? This is a very important graph because it shows the coffee market size from 2025 to 2034. This will be around the world, but it shows a very stable increase in the market of coffee, and it is also showing that the investors would like to still put their money into this market in Switzerland and outside of Switzerland as well, as we are an international company. So the pest analysis highlights a highly regulated market with a strong sustainability and ethical expectations, as expected of the country of Switzerland, which we are currently in. We have the Porter's 5 forces, which show intense competition, high buyer power, and strong substitution threats. Now, this we may see as a threat, but it is also an opportunity of Costa Coffee to implement their practices into the Swiss market and differentiate themselves from the competitors using the backing of Coca-Cola marketing and their standardized operations. We have the SWOT, which confirms Costa Coffee's strong brand positioning and Coca-Cola backing, but also high cost pressures, because as we know, having a business in Switzerland is very not cost effective, which is why they have to find ways to make their prices high, but also to differentiate themselves in ways from other competitors in the market. So this analysis confirms that Costa Coffee's success depends on strategic adaptation rather than just price competition, using its market's competitive advantage, and in this case I would say that one of the biggest factors will be the investment into long-term sustainability practices. So, some of the implications: Costa should continue investing in sustainability initiatives, as said before. Efficiency improvements are needed to offset labor costs and compliance costs as well, which comes back to the points that Darina and Paulina made before about the standardized experience and standardized staff training methods. We have the brand differentiation. As I said before, it must go beyond price competition, in this case investing into sustainability and reusability practices. And we have the employee training and retention remaining strategically important, because if your customer retention is bad, so will be your employee retention, because these two go together. So we have the limitations. So unfortunately, the analysis is based on secondary data sources only. We have limited access to Costa Coffee's internal financial data, as Coca-Cola is really keeping track of Costa Coffee as a whole, not dividing any of the financial structures by countries, unfortunately. We have the Swiss market focusing on generalization to other countries, as Costa Coffee is quite a new competitor in this market. Therefore, some of the data has to be quite general in terms of the Swiss market. And we also have the rapid regulatory changes that may alter future outcomes in terms of, for example, sustainability, as Switzerland is a very dynamic country in terms of lawmaking. And we have some future research. So customer studies on sustainability and brand studying. As we know, Swiss people are very open to saying their opinion. So I think it's very important for Costa Coffee to do that and to actually see what is expected of them as one of the only few chain coffee makers in Switzerland, to comparatively analyze with Starbucks and local Swiss cafes. So to analyze their competition is also very important. Impact of digitalization on customer loyalty in Switzerland. So here are 2 points to that. We can go either much more into digitalized world, so having online apps, having more, let's say, loyalty codes, or we can be a bit more strategical in terms of the